Amy, and this is the Mum Mumble Podcast, an online space where we get really real about a lot of things. But when it comes to motherhood, that's where the magic happens. There are no limits, almost no limits, to how raw and honest mothers can become when they are given a safe space to talk about the realities of mothering in the 21st century. And I have to say, it's one of my favourite things ever. If you're a mother, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the feeling of being able to let go of those expectations that everyone has of you, the relief you instantly get when you express yourself and receive a me too in response, as you notice that heaviness that's been weighing you down just lift and float off. All because you thought you were the only one, but actually you're not. You never are. Daniella Georgiou is a mum of two, and like most of us, she's been feeling the clash of challenges and joys that motherhood brings. So, as part of her counselling certification with a focus on mothers and parenthood, she piloted virtual mum-to-mum support group sessions in a bid to understand the current needs of mothers in Cyprus. So today on the show, she talks about her findings, the experts that she has rounded up to share their insights and expertise, and her future plans, which sound very exciting. If you've been desperate to find an honest conversation between mums, then really look no further. Now, on with the show. Daniella, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
All the way from Limassol.
Yes.
How's Limassol doing?
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely and not so lovely. Love the sea. I'm ignoring the whole skyscrapers.
The whole big, massive, tall shit show that's going on.
There. Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. So, welcome to Nicosia then.
Welcome back.
Well, we don't have any problems whatsoever. I'm really excited to have this little chat with you today. I fear that sometimes I veer off the motherhood path with the podcast. So, whenever someone contacts me and they're like, can we talk about motherhood? I'm like, yes, please, let's do it. So, I had Stephanie here last week, who you know. We did
e-meetings.
Yeah. And she kindly agreed to do it in Greek because I was like, I really want one of you to do it in Greek and one of you to do it in English.
According to my husband, I'm not allowed to teach or correct my kid in Greek.
Really?
Grammatically.
It's that bad?
Yes. I went junior school. I mean, I had no chance.
Oh my God, that's true.
It's better now, I've heard.
Yes, as with everything, things are getting better.
Yes, but also I was spoken to in English first language all my life.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But your Greek's okay. But I would take it, what your husband said, I would take it as, oof, okay, that's one thing off my shoulder. Don't have to worry about that.
I didn't think about that.
If they start speaking whatever it is, it's not my fault.
The cutest was Vivian when she was younger. When she thought, because I only spoke to her in English, whenever she was speaking Greek, she goes, like, go kinikaragla. She goes, Mummy, reche. And I'd look at her and I'm like, oh, we'll watch Frozen in Greek. She goes, de katalavis. And I would like, because I was really strict, like only speaking English. It was hilarious.
Oh my God. Don't you love these little pearls of wisdom that these kids give you? They're like, oh, yeah, anyway, okay. So let's get into the discussion. So you have decided to facilitate these mum-to-mum groups. Let's start from the very, very beginning. Why? Why did you choose to do this?
We need to have a community in place for mothers.
Because we don't.
We don't. When I had my first kid 7 years ago, there was nothing. It continued like that through my second. I feel there's a lot of prenatal classes for the physical birth, but there's nothing you taking through the emotional and the mental well-being. Like, in terms of a country, we see our gynecologists more than any other, I would say developed country at the moment, every month. And you're not asked a lot of the questions on how are you? How are you feeling? And there's a lot of build up to giving birth that one day where, Jesus Christ, like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And then you go home and you're holding this thing and you're like, oh my God, what the hell do I do with it?
Yeah.
No discussions on breastfeeding and how difficult it was. Sleep deprivation, no discussion on that.
Well, you said 7 years ago. When I was having the chat with Stephanie, I had my first 13 years ago. So it was 2011. It was beginning of 2011. So technically, I was pregnant also in 2010. We did not have internet, or at least not to the extent that we do now on social media. So I would buy magazines and books.
Interesting.
So that's
books,
how I prepared. Yeah. What did I prepare for, though? I prepared for the pregnancy.
Yeah, exactly. It's the before.
And a little bit of the birth. Yeah. Tiny, tiny bit. And then once the baby came, I was like, shit, I did not prepare for this part. And no one prepared me.
And through these groups, one thing that was lovely was on session 5 when I spoke about what would you give like advice to expectant mothers, because this group was postpartum, and they said you can't really give advice, like you don't know until you're there, but you can. My thing is you can educate, you can prepare, and then you can then continue this support through to the postpartum. So with the same mothers, hopefully. My thing is creating groups of mothers.
Okay, so go back to...
But let me go back to the very beginning of where it was. See, through my first, I had postnatal depression. I wasn't diagnosed. I went to a great pediatrician who asked me, you know, if I'm giving attention to my husband, and I just stared him down and I left, and I was like, okay, so there's no help here. I had an awful ectopic pregnancy where I didn't know it was an ectopic pregnancy. I thought I was pregnant. I did several tests. I then went to the clinic like with unbearable rectal pressure, pain, thinking I had a terrible UTI. Get there, realize the gynecologist on call said, you've got blood in your belly, maybe it's a cyst, but do a test. And when I left, before I left, it came back positive, and he said, you know, we have to rush you into surgery. I mean, I didn't know a lot about this, and I came out with I lost a fallopian tube. It was that far gone, like ruptured fallopian tube, lost the baby, but I came out and all the right medical terms were given to me. Yeah. None on the emotional, like, how are you? I had so many questions, like, can I get pregnant again? This was before my second. There were so many questions, and then I asked my gynecologist, like, is there support groups? And they just stared at me like, what do you mean? Like,
what are you talking
just
about?
Just go home and take some paracetamol. You'll be fine. You'll be able to get pregnant again. But the questions, and that's when I started searching abroad. And I found an old colleague of mine in New York who got me in contact with this group who was dealing with ectopic pregnancies. And it kind of helped me, because not that it wasn't like a miscarriage or like I was suffering like from that, but I felt like this kid was going to come in August. There were so many feelings coming through, but everyone was just like talking to me medically, friends, family, you'll get pregnant again. It's not what you want to hear. No. You want to go through it. Yeah. You want to go through the grief. And I connected with my mum in New York, who connected me with the mum in Rwanda, and then Kenya. And it was like this setup of 3 different mums, all kind of talking about, like 3 completely different countries, by the way, talking about that there's no mental and emotional support for mothers, like who are even not going through a hard time, but also not going through a hard time, who just coming to motherhood. Yeah. So after leaving my job last year, it's been on my mind for, I think I remember calling you 2-3 years ago. You're cooking pancakes. It was during Stroll Tuesday. It was like 2 years, and I was like, I've got this idea for mum groups. And you're like, I'm with you, but I've got to close the phone because I'm cooking pancakes. And it kind of like, I was trying to figure out, okay, how are these things going to come together? And I kind of thought of the NCT a bit in the UK, who they kind of put mothers together in areas through the clinics. So you kind of connect mothers, you support them, you facilitate them within groups. But the additional thing I've got is I bring in specialists, because I just facilitate at the moment. Even though I'm going back possibly to do a degree in humanistic counselling at the moment.
Oh, right.
I've just started that. I'm finishing my certification now. I just need to finish with the supervision and assessments, which someone from the UK has to fly over. If I'm speaking fast, by the way, tell me.
No. I'm trying to see where we're going to go.
Yeah. So basically, when I started these groups, it was I sent some questionnaires out to 8 mums in January, and I received 37 questionnaires back. And I thought, that's weird. I just sent it to 8 mums.
Yeah.
And it kind of spiraled. Like some mums were sending, and all the questions coming back were the same.
Okay.
Same issues. I realized mums want to talk. They want validation. Why did I send 8 to friends and I've now got 37? So I thought, right, I'm going to pilot it. There's no other way to figure this out. Just pilot it. So I went online. 7 completely different mothers from completely just talking through friends, some little sponsorship on Instagram. It was so organic. Like the way it came about was so organic. And we started these sessions. It was 6 weekly sessions. Each week was a different topic. And I invited 3 specialists to talk on the 3, like on every other week.
Okay, so who are the specialists and what do they cover?
The first specialist was Natasha Niro. She's an amazing mindfulness and yoga consultant.
Okay.
I think that's so important, prenatal and postpartum.
Well, just taking it to the basic, which is
breathing,
movement. We have
rhythm.
no idea how to breathe properly to regulate.
That should be in schools.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
the age of 6.
Yeah.
She spoke about rhythm and movement. It was amazing what you can do in 10, 20 minutes. And that was the thing that I said with the mums, the introductory session about this 15 minutes. And I was like, I do Pilates in 15 minutes. And they're like, what do you mean? Pilates is 45. I was like, it's not.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have 45. And they're like, how can you read a book? I was like, I put 10 minutes aside in the morning to read a book.
Yeah. We're going to get into the 15 and 20 minute thing because I find it fascinating. Also something that's definitely touched upon. So you've got the mindfulness and the yoga.
On the full session, I brought in Rebecca Bablidis, Dr. Rebecca Bablidis, who's a psychologist, a counselling psychologist who's just returned from the UK. She spoke about self-care. She spoke about the pressure we have to be that good mother, which that was a lovely topic because at the very beginning she asked them, what everyone's going through, what, can we cover? And the overload she got, because it was 7 mothers coming from very different directions. It was actually one of my wow moments because everything every mother said brought me back to my early postpartum stage.
And what is the basis of that good mother thing that we talk about? It's guilt.
Total guilt.
It's always there. Yeah. We always have it.
Because we're not supposed to do so much. We're not supposed to have so many hoods, capes and hoods. We're not. I left my job and in the afternoons, I can't work. I don't work.
Yeah. From
3 afters, I don't. To be a good mother, you can't have to run back to pick up a phone, do an email. You can't.
Yeah.
You're gonna just shout at the kid at one point. You're gonna snap at the kid. Your other alternative, I said it to mum the other day, should be either parenting or picking up a book. That's how relaxed you need to be to parent. It's that simple for me. Like if I'm not parenting them, I'm reading a book.
But also, don't you feel that the whole terminology of good mother, like, can we get rid of that?
Yeah, but
can we just get rid of the good and the bad?
Yeah, but it's all over screens. It's all over Instagram. It's all over TikTok. How to be a good mother, how to not be good.
And you often hear it. But and she did this and that, but she's such a good mother.
But one of the beautiful things of these groups were how they all rallied around each other. And there was one...
Which is, again, another piece of or disinformation that women do not...
Oh, no, they did.
...band together.
No, they banded. They didn't know. No one knew each other.
Yeah.
There was no... I only knew one well. I didn't know anyone else. No one else knew each other. And there was this one specific mom. She had just given birth, so her kid was around 12 weeks, and all I said every week was I would send her the topics. I'll send her the link when you can join. And she joined in session 4. It was beautiful because she was like at the stage we're all at: sleep deprived, loss, anxiety, high. And on session 5, the first question anyone asked was, "How are you?" And I was like, you're gonna get through this. It's a phase. And I was like, how? Like, I'm not talking. The facilitator's just sitting there and all the mums are rallying around this one mum. And after each topic, after each session, it was like a lifeline.
Yeah.
It was like a little, I've got it today. I can do it.
Yeah.
You give them that energy, that boost.
Okay, right. We're going to move into that as well. Let's go to the third specialist.
The third specialist was Mirto Dimitriou. She's a fantastic clinical nutritionist.
Okay.
Who talks not only about the women, pregnancy and what you should be eating and postpartum, the mum's nutrition, but she also deals with baby-led weaning. Really lovely topics. But she also talks about healthy eating habits, which I have a 7 and 4-year-old, and I took. The lovely thing is I took things from each specialist, and I'm not in that phase. So, like the specialist, I felt like after their sessions finished, they were like, oh, I could have done more. And I'm like, you've done enough for what you can do in that 1 hour.
Yeah.
They used to give us an amazing breakdown of a PDF, which I would then give to the moms.
Okay.
So even with Nadasa, like you would get the postures, which you could do. I still do those 5-10 minute postures she gave down. Rebecca's self-care tips were amazing, like what you can do in 10-15 minutes. And like Mirto, I didn't know I can give my kids egg every day. I used to think I have to give an omelette and then give them a space. I said to her, she was like, I'm stuck on the egg still because I'm like, I'm such a big person. I love eggs. And
I love eggs.
Yeah, and I'm like, they need to. But I was taught by pediatricians, like, don't give eggs so much. Again, pediatricians should not be giving nutritionists advice. Unless they've studied and they've done that section of nutrition.
Yeah,
they're not specialists in that.
Yeah,
like pediatricians who are not lactose consultants don't give advice on breastfeeding. Go to a lactose consultant.
Yeah,
and that's another point of mine, that these groups at one point have to be government sponsored because it should be for everyone and anyone. Why should someone have to spend €50 on a breastfeeding consultant? I mean, they're amazing breastfeeding consultants. They're amazing consultants, but give it to the mass at one point. Get them in groups and just give general knowledge out.
Yeah.
Give them resources. I mean, from a group of 8, I got 3 pages of resources from them, from mums, first-hand experiences.
Okay, so let's talk about the main points that you got from these mums and mothers. You sat down with how many?
So there were 7, but every session, depending, some was 5, some was 6, some was 7.
Yeah, go get close. I don't want to miss the word you're saying. Yeah.
It depends, but it was from between 5 and 7 mums every session.
All right. So, what were their main concerns, and did they surprise you?
Did they surprise me? I mean, some experiences they had gone through surprised me. How educated the second-time mums. One thing to say about the group, because it was not last minute, but the way it was put together, it was quite organic. So I had mums that were second-time mums in. And you can see a relaxedness in them.
So much difference.
It's such a difference. Yeah,
it really is.
It is. But in some ways,
you should see with the third one. It's like throw it in the corner. It just
don't tell me that.
Just raises itself. No, I would not recommend that.
No. Don't tell me that because I want and he doesn't. And so I'll just try that.
No. Don't go there. Just don't go there, Gori. You're fine where you are. That's why we can do what we're doing now.
The main issues was sleep deprivation.
Oh my God.
No one speaks about that.
No one speaks.
And the ones...
No, actually they do, but they say in that comical way, like, get ready to never sleep again.
Yeah, it's not advisable.
It's not advisable. And you also, unless you're actually in that shit pool, you will not understand what it means to be sleep deprived.
No, you don't.
And at the same time, be responsible for a human being.
Exactly.
It's not just the sleep deprivation, it's what you need to do.
But you see the mums who are sleep deprived and the ones that are not, they're much more balanced.
Oh my
by
God.
Default. I mean, you can get up and you can lead a life looking after baby.
Yeah. Such a massive difference.
It is. I think the connection with the partner was a big topic, and I actually focused on it as a facilitator in session 3.
Again, something that we don't talk about often.
Do not
Can we stay on that topic of the partner? Because I was reading your notes yesterday, and someone described having a baby and the life with their partner as a bomb exploding. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. That's exactly what it feels like.
It is a bomb.
Yeah.
But also, or how my husband says it, you go into a black tunnel and then you come out for a bit and you have the second one, you go into the tunnel again. And I'm like, when are you coming out? He goes, But
exactly,
we were at a breakdown after our second. It was COVID. We were in a very small flat. It was awful, and it was make or break, and it was a couples counselling. I mean,
same. Same for me.
And
I've heard it over and over again.
No, but I don't understand why it's not the norm. Like, you understand? Like, it should be like going to your doctor to check a sore throat. Like, you're not mentally okay with your partner. How are you going to raise healthy kids? How?
Yeah.
I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Like, this is where it comes to the real conversations.
And also assuming that just because you're in a partnership, that automatically you're on the same page and it's just smooth sailing. And it's not. And especially when you've got a woman who's just had a baby, who's just literally got the shock of her life.
Literally.
Do dads understand that?
But also...
And I want to apologise, first of all, sorry, I wanted to say that we're going to be talking about men and women here, so
because it's also parental responsibilities.
Yes,
it is a man and a woman thing.
Yeah, but also because I really want to demonstrate the difference between a woman who's just had a baby and a man who's just had a baby.
But how many partners are educated? That's my point. How many?
Who's educating them? No one's educating.
No, but how many business people are educated for their employees who are pregnant or go back? No one's educated.
Yeah.
So you can't expect, like, I couldn't really expect my partner to know what to do because he wasn't. I wish someone said to him, at the during the prenatal phase, when she's breastfeeding, put a glass of water next to her. Like, simple things.
Yeah.
At 6 o'clock, come and take the baby and tell her to go for a walk. It's really simple things, by the way, but we don't educate them like that. And they're also not, like, one of the biggest discussions, I think it was session 3, it was the funniest thing. They were like, just explain to me, why can't a dad do a baby changing bag? Like, why? Why? And it was really funny because there were all these things, like, we tell them, and at the end of the day, we just do it for them because they don't do it. So I remember closing the session and, having dinner with my husband at night, and I'm like, you never did it.
Never.
No, you can never do it right. He was like, you know why? And I was like, yes, tell me why.
Yeah.
He was like, because I was going to do it wrong, and I was just going to get shouted at the end of the day.
So, question here right now is, do we do the things that we do because we think that only we can do them correctly? Is it a way to avoid confrontation and an argumentative state with your partner? Or is it...
I do think we're too controlling as mums, as women. I don't know.
Or is it, again, that idea that because I'm the mother, I should be the one to do it?
No, I don't agree with that. I do think we're slightly controlling at the beginning, with the kids' schedule, with the time, with what they eat. We are more controlling and we're more on it.
Yeah.
Not so many dads feel they can step in there.
Yeah.
I remember leaving, like, my first with him and, going to work, and I would come back and they'll be sleeping at 5 p.m., which is danger zone, and going mad.
No sleeping after 3 p.m.?
No, but my point was, and then like a Cheerio box was there. And I was like, what? He was like, I'm a parent as well. The way I do it is the way I do it. Don't challenge me there. And that got me to understand we're too controlling of the situation. But I think it's also how we have those conversations. Like, now, like, I can thank my couples counselor for this, but after, like, now I know how to speak to my husband.
Yeah.
There's no aggressive tone. There's no going at him in a defensive way. It's a much more better way of communicating with each other. So now it'd be, do a baby changing bag, but I'm experienced. I'm 7 years in it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, teach them this at the beginning, or give them the education. Mums and dad, educate the dads.
Yeah. Well, we often say, why do I have to do it? Well,
no, it has to be a partnership.
No. I mean, why do I have to be the one to educate my partner?
I don't think. Well, a lot of moms said,
you
please
hear
do.
that a lot.
Yes, you do, and a lot of moms
said,
said,
go Google it, man.
No, also, a lot of moms said, please do dad groups, and I was like, slowly. So many moms said, because men don't talk to each other. Oh, this is a big one. Men are not emotionally in tune with their feet. They don't want to talk about it. But it's the way they've grown up.
I was going to say, I remember reading Glennon Doyle's Untamed, and there was a chapter where she was describing something about her husband. She eventually divorced her husband and moved in with a woman because she realised that she was actually a lesbian. Anyway, but she said that her husband went out for dinner with a friend, came back, and she asked him, like, how is his wife doing? How is the kid doing? And he went, I don't know. And she said, you've just had a 2-hour dinner with this friend of yours. What were you talking about?
But that's why I was...
You don't even know how the baby is, or he didn't even know what the name of the kid was, apparently.
But that's the questions I ask my husband when he goes out with the, how is everyone? And I was like, well, we just talk about politics and football. It's like, for F's sakes.
Which is fine.
It's, it's
I
their,
can do that.
It's their, but my point is, I think with the, going back to the baby changing bag, maybe, now what helps me and my husband is small meetings, over dinner or in the mornings to kind of sort out logistics.
Yeah.
I think open communication with them, saying what you need and maybe having to say it once or twice, but I get the mum's load of why do I have to tell you what to do? Yeah. This is a big thing, a big one.
It is. And, and it's what we say, that those of us who are raising boys, it is kind of our responsibility to give them some messages that their dads weren't given.
But it's also sad because I'm raising 2 girls and I see family members sometimes making them clean up and do. Whereas the boys, so it is.
Yeah. The boys don't have to do that.
It's different, I think, for a lot of. But I'm hopeful. I am.
No, I would like you to be raising your girls to demand from my boys that they educate themselves and be able to. But, going back to the baby changing bag, again, 13 years ago when I had my first baby, there weren't even bloody changing little tables in their bathrooms in the mall. Yeah, we're talking about a massive mall right now. And every time we were at the mall, I had to be the one to take the baby to the changing room because there just wasn't one available in the men. Yeah. And again, that's changed.
No, I know.
So, there's a slow but steady...
But going back to the groups and what I learned from them, I learned that they will talk. Yeah. They do talk. There's I saw every week the confidence and the safety of the group came together. Yeah. There was transparency. There was a real, honest conversation.
Question.
Yes.
I told you I was going to ask this question because I know it's a sensitive one, but I feel that it can be very impactful. So when you say facilitate raw, real, vulnerable, honest conversations, many people listen to that and they're like, oh, they're just sitting around in a circle and moaning and complaining.
No, it was none of that. It was so beautiful. It was none of that. There was no whinging, there was no nagging, there was no complaining of their partners. If anything, actually, it was how to better communicate with their partners. Raw and honest conversation is talking about uncomfortable things that you would probably just pick a friend or a mom or your mirror to, or things that going on in your head. Yeah.
Could you give me an example of a real honest conversation that you don't hear often?
Intimacy. Having sex after baby. Yeah. With my first, my husband is going to kill me. I'm just not going to promote this. I didn't have sex for 7 months after my first. Okay. And I thought I was the weirdest thing. It got uncomfortable, and then
I can't imagine how you felt.
But and then when I said it to the group, it was, well, isn't that normal? And I was like, gee, do you understand? I was kind of, and also my friend said, isn't that normal? Because we go to the gynecologist and we do a check at 6 weeks, and we're told, Doran body's not going to have sex, and I was like, you being serious? Yeah. And also breastfeeding.
Make sure you satisfy that man, Daniella.
And also take it from a breastfeeding side. I was a breastfeeding mum. They're functional, and then they have to be switched to pleasurable. Some women actually still have issues with them being touched.
I am so glad that you said that because, oh my God, see, I'm going to get a bit personal right now. I would wear a bra. I would not take my bra off during sex. It's it's not coming off. You're not going anywhere near it. But that is such an interesting piece about breastfeeding. You go from
functional to
thinking that this is about
satisfying,
about being sexy. It's also, you've also got that guilt that you shouldn't be showing it too much because it might mean that. I'm talking about breasts and boobs here, guys. And I don't know why I'm not using the word. And then all of a sudden, it's like they have a purpose, and it does not have to do with anything with sex.
You feel like a cow. I mean, the pumps years ago were
Yeah.
now you have I can't remember that nice silent one.
Do you?
No, there's a nice silent one now.
Is there?
Oh, it's got a nice name as well. I forgot it now.
Oh, okay. We can put it in the show notes. All right.
Yeah. But my point is, like, the first one, the Medela one, he would come in and he was like, babe, what the hell? And I was, but with the intimacy conversation, which was again in session 3, I thought, I'm going to have to push them. They were so open.
Yeah.
So it was talking about things that maybe, we want to talk about, we want to exchange. But it's all giving really good, valuable advice. It's all trusted advice because it's come from experience. And okay, and as a facilitator, I can kind of I help when the topic goes off session, I bring it back, or also allowing everyone to talk, because some mums are more introverted than others or more quiet, and I didn't want that. I wanted everyone to have, and it was online, which I didn't want it to be, but it was really difficult because we were in different cities, and actually it was lovely it was online, because most of them were on maternity or had gone back to work. Some of them joined from work, some of them joined with babies. So sometimes online, I think, for the postpartum stage, because the way I want these groups to run is prenatal support groups, and then taking a break, allowing them those first weeks, and then regrouping, and those might have to be online. Yeah,
I was going to say, I think if you didn't do it online, you probably would not have had the feedback and the participation that you had.
Yeah, I wanted the on-site just to kind of connect with them one-on-one, but you get that from online. I think COVID has helped.
Yeah.
But I think I just learned the biggest thing I learned, this has to happen in Cyprus. Like, I'm on a mission now to get it into clinics.
You seem determined, Body, I have to say. Like, there's that glitter in your eye.
And with I'm going to be transparent, with no experience on anything to do with counseling or psychology or motherhood, like nothing. But I feel it's a huge gap, so I might as well and rally the specialists together.
That was what I was going to say. You've got specialists on there. You've got experts on there. So
I've also got specialists getting in contact with me now. Like, let's connect. And I've got about 10 that I've met up with for a coffee or online that I want to bring them on, or at least on my social platform, which will be ready soon, to bring them on to speak about their, just really helpful tips that you don't have to. I mean, the internet.
Are you planning on creating like some sort of database with information as well? Because before we switched the microphones on, I was telling you about my Pilates instructor who said, we've got a pregnant lady in the group where I go do my Pilates, and he was saying that he does not take any more new expectant mothers. And I was like, why? Because I don't feel that I know enough about it, and I don't want to be responsible for whatever's going to happen. And apparently a lot of people are doing this.
A lot of people are doing it with a lot of things.
So that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's not. I'm not restricting it just to Pilates, but if I'm an expectant mother, or I've just had a baby and I'm looking to go somewhere to do something, or any bit of information, that's where you come in.
I think
because that is not available right now.
It's not. It is, but it's scattered. It's everywhere.
It's in Facebook groups.
There's too much knowledge everywhere, and I think this is where mums disconnect. They go to the internet. They get great advice from Instagram and TikTok, which you do now. But you disconnect from other mums, so you're lacking the community. You're lacking the support, and also, how many times when you just had your baby did you want to meet up for a walk with a pram or just sit there breastfeeding? Like, I want these to be created, like maybe towns, like maybe we're not as big as the UK to do the NCT, but maybe start with towns like Mums in Nicosia. That's why I think if I go to the clinics and I start within the clinics, you can segment the mums in areas like Engomi areas, or maybe the municipalities at one point. But it's a foundation, it's a starting point. But one thing, the biggest thing I realized that this needs to exist.
Okay, so one word that we haven't used so far and goes with what you were saying, community, and what we're talking about now is the village.
Yes, the village.
So
it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. We keep talking about it.
There's no village.
There is no village.
No. There's 2 dysfunctional parents, overloaded, working not crazy hours, but working hard, who can't come home and parent. Grandparents who, like, they're older in age. They can't look after grandkids. There's nannies.
Or they still work.
Or they still work as well.
Yeah.
There's cleaners who act like nannies. There's no correct village who can step in, cop. I found the village in Limassol because we went without a lot of support. So I had to find mums who would babysit, or when my husband thought he was having a heart attack, mum had to come over.
Okay.
Small things, you understand that? I found my small niche, but I'm a person that's, I get out there and I connect.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing over, not just with you, so many conversations with women about the village, is that the system that we've set up right now is excluding the family format.
Yes.
Completely. And then we're wondering why we have low birth rates.
But not only low birth rates, how many kids have been labelled with so many developmental issues in schools because you don't have the correct skills or time to parent them. You're running around like a headless chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working at a 9 to 6 job. I can't parent like that.
No.
I mean, what crazy person thinks that's parenting? You go home and you're exhausted. You just want to read a book and put them to bed. But the system's not set up. Give them flexi hours. Allow them to work from home. Allow them 2 afternoons a week, which is most developed, most European countries give mums or dads 2 afternoons a week. It's doable.
Well, and also the other thing I was going to say about the village is what a lot of people talk about is that there's distances between us right now, massive distances. And I was saying to someone the other day, I don't know if I said this on a podcast, I'm pretty sure I didn't say it in English, it was probably in Greek, that I've noticed in the area of Old Nicosia where my studio is, there is a village.
Yeah, I know you told me.
I told you. I told you. There you go. So I'll say it now as well. So if you come here in the morning around 7:30, you will see women and mothers from all walks of life, from different cultures, walking together to take their kids to the preschool that is in the back road here. And then you see them walking back. They might get a coffee. They might sit around and have a little chit chat for 5 minutes. And then they all go off to their jobs, which are all here in this area, right? Then you have the mother who has to go, get her nails done maybe, or go buy a book, or go to the supermarket. The other mother next door will look after her babies. And the next time that she needs it, she'll do it as well. And they have a whole community, Gori.
I know, but this is my point. Like, my washing machine broke last week. A great example. Yes, but my point is I rallied my village. Yes. I was like, guys, I've got to come put a load. Yeah. Like, my mum was laughing, Nicosia. She was like, you have no shame. I was like, there is no shame.
How is there shame?
I was like, no, I mean, in the sense, like,
I know.
I wish I was there to help you. I was like, but you're not. So I have to rally another village. And I found, but we all need to get out and fight. So if you start it before you have a child, you're giving them the one thing they need, support. Yeah. Gabor Mate said this in the myth of normal, when he said it's the support is the key word. It's educating them right at the beginning. Yeah. It's the same with kids. If you educate them right at the very beginning of primary school, you're going to have whole
but also
kids.
When you're talking about kids nowadays being isolated, distances between them, you've also got, I don't know, I sound like a broken record, but you've got the internet, you've got social media, you've got them on devices. So not only are they not being raised in a community with different voices, different cultures, different experiences, we've actually isolated them.
Yeah, but that's a big conversation that needs to start in schools. That some schools still allow. I'm very strict with them in terms of getting, like, you're allowed 30 minutes a day, and then you got to get out. Okay. Get out into the neighborhood, walk, run. Yeah. Like, there's a little walking path behind. But again, there's no other kids with them.
And not only that, but I was going to say that you also mentioned that come 3 o'clock, you're like, that stops, which means that you are mentally and physically able to put that framework around your kids and keep those boundaries. Yeah, but if you're talking about a mother now that works till 8 o'clock at night,
7.
How the fuck is she supposed to know?
No, there's no way. But how are you supposed to feed your kid well? Nutrition. I'm so annoying with nutrition because
that as well.
I went to a UK pediatrician who's dealt with nutrition, and he said to me, vitamins are through food. I don't care what people say, it's through food. So I'm anal with food. They have to have their vegetables, they have to have their fruit, not forcefully. Yeah. Like, my eldest has a big issue with chocolate, like most, but, I had a big argument the other day with their head of summer school, who, you know, they have chocolate.
Gave them chocolate?
No. And mums bring in, and she's like, "What do you want me to do? Stop the mums?" I was like, "Yes, you know, don't allow it."
Yeah.
What do you mean? You know, or educate them. Bring them fruit during the day.
Yeah.
Educate them.
Yeah. The nutrition part is.
Oh, that was actually the most.
It's a big deal,
and it was the most. I was surprised because I thought everyone was going to go for the psychology in the sense because they were not okay.
Yeah.
But most of them were really looking forward to that episode in the sense that healthy eating habits.
But also also mothers with older kids. I genuinely feel mothers and the stress that they go for when they say, I cannot get him to eat a single vegetable or a single piece of fruit.
And they live off nuggets. I've heard
And they live off nuggets and cornflakes, which we're all guilty of. I've said it a million times. You can have cornflakes for dinner. It's fine.
Dude,
it's fine.
No, it is.
How, though, do we develop? How do we establish good, healthy eating habits?
She gave some lovely tips about you have to eat with them. Like, you have to sit physically and eat. And I was like, what, eat at 6, 7? She was like, nibble on a cucumber, nibble on a carrot. Like, physically sit, make that, you know, start that tradition of talking about things with them over dinner. And also the prep part. I was
going to say, for me, it's the prep part. I think that's where that has worked for me. Touch
getting
wood,
them prepared
brilliantly. Yeah. They do not, all three of my boys do not have any issue with having fruit or vegetable or whatever. They actually want it. But the prep work.
It is.
So come in the kitchen with me.
Yeah,
take the plate,
lay the table, you know, get the glasses ready. You know, this part I think has helped. But again, I taught my first one, guilty as charged. When my second came, I didn't have help. So I taught her to watch something while eating so I can breastfeed. It would overlap the time I was breastfeeding.
Yeah.
For a long time still now, she still associates her dinner with a screen.
Yeah.
So now I've had to change it up and say, okay, let's eat outside together. Let's not have a screen. But again, it's changing patterns and changing habits, but you have to be able to, you have to have time to do this.
And energy.
Yes, energy, because yesterday I was guilty. It's not Monday, it was a Tuesday. Like, my husband came at 7 and I was like, don't talk to me about them. I need a break because I want to, you want to rattle them because they've rattled you. I've been cooking meals. I finish at 3, but it's cooking for them, for us. Sorting out their bags. They came home from dance. Bags were, when I mean thrown all over the place, and shoes. Those shoes.
Socks.
I went to...
For me, it's socks.
No, it's shoes. And I went to mum at dance and I said, how do you get them to put their shoes where they're meant to be? I think I've said it 50 times to them. And they just look at me like, I'll do it. Like that little attitude. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, when?
Yeah. For me, I get to the point, and I know this is not a good idea and it's not recommended. Well, it's like fear mongering. So do you know where your shoes have been? Do you know what's on the bottom of your shoes? Do you know that if you walk with those shoes all the way upstairs, that whatever, and it's like these...
Oh, no, I don't think I can
No, I do that. I scare my kids to shit. I scared them the other day not to go in the sea because there were sharks, because I couldn't be bothered to run after them.
I'm so glad my kid doesn't hear this because she keeps asking about sharks.
There are sharks!
But going back to...
leave the sharks.
No, I think going back to... I think... If you rally the village now, like you start the village, start them within a group, within a community.
Yeah.
Some, in the UK, they still have mums from birth that they still connect with, they still do play dates with. I mean, it's lovely. It's and it's their lifeline.
Yeah.
It becomes their lifeline. And mum, you need your 3 a.m. mum.
Yes.
That you're going to text at 3 a.m.
Yes.
These groups can become that. So give them the opportunity. Some are not going to connect with one another. And one of my fears in Cyprus is some mums who know each other might not want to be in the same groups.
Too.
Yeah, there is. I think the pilot group helped me see what needs to be pushed and what needs to kind of be changed.
And also, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that it's much easier to express yourself on a Zoom meeting rather than face-to-face, or not really?
I don't know, but I think that's where I come in. I make people feel comfortable. I connect. I think the counselling has helped me to understand how to get people to listen,
open up as well. That's the other thing.
And I think I don't fearful with the questions I ask. I get right to it.
Okay.
I get right to it, you know.
Because I was going to say, it takes a lot to override all the messages that you're getting from society in order to be able to sit down and say, I'm exhausted, or, you know, I can't get my kid to eat broccoli.
The psychologist said this, actually, which was lovely, because I said to her, I don't want it to be a group where mums complain. She goes, why not? She goes, sometimes we just need to get it out. We need to get to
because we can't do it.
You know, and I like that, because, you know, this has become a stigma, or, you know, you're aggressive, or you whinge, or you know, you talk loudly.
Yeah.
You know, you just complain.
Or always comparing to like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, what mothers used to do. 100 years ago, mothers used to do it with far less resources.
A lot of guys come to me with that, you know how good we are now compared to my dad. And I was like,
that.
Do not come to me with that line. One, I would have never married anyone like that. But the second point is, yes, but you need to move forward. Yes. We need to evolve. We need to grow. And we need to learn.
And also the world is vastly different than it was 50 or 100 years ago.
And we've disconnected now. We're all on phones. We're all on devices. So how about we go back and reconnect? How about we go back and we find our village. We find our mum group to go for walks in the area let's try and find these villages again.
Yeah. Can we move to the 15, 20 minute?
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah. Okay. So I used to do yoga for an hour and a half before I had a baby. Now I've had a baby, and you know what? I can't do that. And I'm feeling bad, and I'm feeling guilty, and I feel like shit. My body's just been through this massive transformation. Where does the 15 and 20 minute come in?
The mindfulness consultant, Nadasa said it best. She goes, on Sunday, open up a notebook and write what you can do in 15 minutes during the week. And that was
examples of what I can do.
Read a book, take a bath, go for a walk around the area. I think it was go to the beach, call a friend, which I love.
Yes.
Do something on your own though, with no one else. Do like a craft, or plant a pot of plant, like something 15 minutes, but maybe we write it down. And I'm big on journaling, because I feel if you think it in your mind and you don't say it or write it, you're not going to self-reflect.
I'm with you 100% on this.
Not, like, you can think it and you can make scenarios in your head. If you don't talk about it with someone.
Don't you hate it though when you get those brilliant ideas just before you're about to nod off to sleep?
So that's why you have it there.
And I'm like, but I can't. I'm going to have to turn around now and
voice
write
recording.
Oh, you're right.
Voice recording is so easy. That's what I'm saying. Do a voice recording.
There you go. Don't ever say this podcast doesn't give you tips.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Thank you, Arabima. Right, yes. So 15, 20 minutes.
But I liked how because before, I think it came to me in COVID, where I was a mum with a 5-month-old and a 3-year-old, and my husband would go in another room for 12 hours working.
Oh my God.
And I was like, and you know what my 15 minutes was? Putting the youngest to bed, putting, I think, Joe Weeks on the television for my eldest to do this baby, and I would piss off to Zorban. Don't know if I can swear on this. And I would send that message, you know, I don't know what message, you know, going to a pharmacy or something. I'd have a Calpol in my car just in case they stop me. And I'd sit in the car with a coffee for 15 minutes, usually cry or just shout or just think, oh my God, how am I going to get through the day? But I learned that I can then go back and put a Superman cape and get through the day from 15 minutes. And now I do 15 minutes. I read a book. I don't take a bath because I don't have a bath, but I take 15 minutes to myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes even just sitting in the garden, by the way, and just being grateful.
I was going to
for
say,
seeing a nice garden.
I mean, it's so underrated, the fact of just sitting and literally doing, you said you was swearing, fuck all. Like literally just daydream. Just look at a tree.
But people can't.
We can't do that.
No, I challenge anyone to sit on their own for 15 minutes. You can't do it.
Yeah, you cannot.
You cannot do it.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And I think, again, it was Nadata who said that when you go for a walk, try not to focus on something like close to you. Focus on things far, because it allows your eyes to rest. That was a lovely thing. She said,
other thing,
eyes to rest. Like sometimes close your eyes. You don't have to sleep. You know that when they say sleep when the baby sleep, that bullshit crap. No. Yeah. Take a shower when the baby's. I mean, what planet do people live to say this? But my point is...
can you explain it, though? Can we say why it's a bullshit idea? Because if I've got a baby sleeping there and I'm in the shower, I'm not having a restful time in the
No,
shower
you're not.
because the baby's right there and no
But
one's in charge.
I think Rebecca, the psychologist, and Nadasa, the mindfulness, both said this. When you have 20 minutes, that does not mean you clean up the house or you rinse the bottles.
Yeah.
When I mean take 20 minutes, I mean take 20 minutes to be on your own, resting.
Yeah.
And if you can't rest, you know, when you go and you say, let me rest, and you can't rest, then pick something to do.
Yeah.
But Rebecca sent this lovely, I think it was 40 things you can do. I'll send it to you. It was great. And she goes, add to it. Like, you find things to add to those things. But it was everything was so simple.
Yeah.
And people ask me, how do you read so many books? I love books. I was like, I literally put a timer, 15 minutes in the morning. I take the kids to school. It's my favorite time.
Really? You read in the morning?
Yes, I can't read at night. At night, I'm exhausted.
Okay, go walk us through it. What do you do?
No, I take the kids to school.
Yeah.
I only have one coffee a day, and I pass by, and I get it from only 2 places because I'm funny about my coffee.
Yeah, same.
And I go home.
Okay.
And I pick a book, and I usually have 2 cats quarreling.
Okay.
You know, and I just sit, and I put a timer, and it's 15 minutes.
Wow.
But I concentrate, and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's also my time. That's why I hate when my kids get sick, because they're home and I can't read my book.
We all do, babe. We all do, babe. But I was going to say, when we say reading a book, and you just said, I focus. It's not easy.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not easy, but at the same time, once you are focused on that book, your mind is not
No, and now with the counselling,
drifting off anywhere.
I've had to read a lot of, like, you know, actual academic books.
Yeah.
And I'm used to holding a pencil, so now I pick up the fictional ones, and I can't let go of, like, I have to be learning. It's just, now I'm like, just let go, like, just read the lines.
That's probably why I don't read fiction anymore. I honestly, now that you just said it, I was like, I don't know when the last time that I read fiction was. Okay, so the last thing I was gonna ask, even though I did want to ask about the mothers in Rwanda and Kenya.
Yeah.
Can you do like a quick comparison? Do they go through the shit that we go through?
No. The 2 I connected with, both of them set up these amazing. One of them set up a foundation called Rera Foundation, which is about no support, emotional, mental support, and literally when you get pregnant there, or teenage pregnant, you just get kicked out of the house. So she's providing a community. But my point is, even though everyone's in a different country and different cultures, we're all mothers are the same. That's one thing I got from these mothers.
You did, huh?
I totally got that. And and the one in Kenya set up something similar in municipalities of she brings in mothers every week to talk on a specific topic. She did a 70-page amazing business pitch to the government, and they gave her a space where every week she talks on a topic, and that's where I think I took the idea of bringing in the topic, figure out what the topics are, and the topics from the questionnaires and talking to the moms was breastfeeding, reconnection with your partner, it was boundaries with family, in-laws was a touchy one, with a lot of mums. It was see, that's why I need notes.
I remember the whole in-law thing, the shock that I got the first few months. It's like, whoa, what's going on here?
You have an opinion.
But at the same time, it's like I'm extremely grateful that there is another set of hands here.
But some people don't have that relationship with them. It becomes difficult.
Toxic.
Yes.
Is what it becomes.
A lot of the mums that came forward, it was. And
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about the advice part. Normally, in-laws and family, and when you say putting down boundaries, is that, okay, I know that you have a shitload of advice to give me. Yeah. I don't want it. So that's where your boundary, that's the point that I reached with my second baby. It's like, dude, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I do not need your advice.
But a mom said something lovely about grandparents, and it was a beautiful point she said. She goes, all these grandparents and aunties and uncles come in to give your kids something different, like an additional, story or part of them. She goes, so allow it in some way. No. And I like that because
I agree, and that's what I said when I said the village earlier, that you allow your child to interact with so many different people. And the same goes for family as well. They do. I force my kids to sit down and listen to their Bapu stories.
It's, my Bapu's still 92 and I'm
okay.
God bless him.
But yeah, there need to be certain boundaries.
There needs to be boundaries, and that's where your partner comes in. And that's one of the topics counseling, we went through that. We each come from our own set of issues with our parents.
Yeah.
And boundaries that they never had or never put in. And we have our own culture. I think everyone who's raised, I was raised quite internationally. He was raised very Cypriot based.
Same with us.
And there was a lot of issues. There was the Sunday that you have to meet up every Sunday. I never understood this.
I know.
Like, yeah, but I didn't get it. So when we went to couples counseling, she actually saw us individually for a long time to get through our own personal things.
Yeah.
And also that they need to step up with the parents and deal with their parents, and not me talking to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law straight about. It's more communicate with your partner, and then it's kind of channeled down.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is really
and find good and effective ways to communicate without being argumentative.
Exactly. Listening to each other. And I think, and it will help the child at the end of the day. The more people around the child to support you, and the better.
Exactly.
And the last point, I think, from the questionnaires and the mum groups was this self-worth, good mum. Like this bad thing of being a bad mum or not doing good enough, I think. Yeah. It's constant, though.
It is.
Even now with a 7-year-old, or my friends, my close friends who have kids around 10 to 7, we're all in this. We're not doing the best we can.
It creeps up on you almost every day. And it could come in the form of a school email. They've got, I don't know, a fancy dress party in 3 days, and everyone has prepared these amazing costumes, and you're sitting there going, I literally forgot. Guilt. It could be, I just didn't meal plan today, and my kids have nothing to eat. Actually, they do. They have cornflakes. They have toast.
Exactly.
So, the guilt can come in so many different forms. It can literally hit you at any moment during the day. The point is to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, and get the right advice from the specialist.
And the self-talk. You said self-worth. Learn to talk to yourself in a better way.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No, I mean, in the mirror, in the sense,
there are people who literally stand in the mirror and talk to themselves, and apparently it's effective as hell.
I look at myself in the mirror. I'm not one, makeup me, I used to be in fashion and people used to call me homeless because I used to go in my tracksuit and no makeup. I was an embarrassment, but it was fine. When I had to do the meetings, I dressed. Otherwise, forget it. But I would go in a mirror, like I did it this morning, and I was like, you hype yourself. Like, okay, you got this today. It was more a look that you got this.
Yeah.
And it's like going in with a hype woman.
Yeah.
Or I've got a meeting with a clinic next. I need my hype woman. Who's me? I'm my hype woman.
Yeah. You are.
But my point is also rallying the specialists. I feel the specialists in Cyprus, they're very individually based. They do a lot of one-on-one. And I think one of the things coming in for a group, it surprised them as well. Wow. How do you... Also, the mums were at very different stages. One thing that I wouldn't do second time round, even though there was benefits to that for the specialists, they found that hard. There was 2 different stages to help them, to advise them. It was coming from sleep deprivation from a 2-year-old to a 6-month-old. It's very different.
Yeah.
Nutrition the same.
True.
And when speaking to the specialists and you ask, okay, who do you work with? A lot of them don't work with anyone. So let's start a circle. Let's start gathering together. You can only fix people in groups if you work together in groups.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a pediatrician I work with who's went through a really bad thing with his daughter, medically, had to get up and leave. He goes, as soon as, I went and tried to find someone, it was all greed. It was all, oh, bring it to me, And then he was like, where's that round table? Yeah. Which happens in the UK. Where's that round table? Let's have a conversation. What's the treatments? What's the diagnosis? Where can we go? And it was so toxic. He said, I got up and left. I got me, a pediatrician, one of the top here.
Wow.
Got up and left.
Wow.
So where is all the psychologists sitting together?
So could you also briefly touch upon the NHS as well and what it offers?
I think the NHS, how it works and what I really like how it works. our pediatricians here, we have access to them on our phones.
Yeah.
No UK mum has access to their pediatrician. They have the NHS website.
Okay.
You go on, you find what's wrong. Your baby has a fever. Your baby has this. These are the symptoms. These are the treatments. If it doesn't correct itself, there's a hotline or there's an A&E here.
Okay.
My pediatrician gets 150 messages a day.
I know, they do.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's one of their downfalls. They've pushed them too much. They've put too many clients on each doctor to hit the target so they can get the money they want. It's too much. That's why my gynecologist hasn't gone into the ESC, and rightfully so.
Yeah, same with mine.
You lack care. You start lacking care there. But don't get me wrong, ESC, there's a lot of positives on it. But my point is, I think the NHS does it right, that there is this boundary put in between, because the mum has 101 questions going through her mind every day.
But in England, you get home visits after you have your baby.
Yeah, but ESC has started doing this. 3 prenatal and 3 postpartum.
Oh, have they? Because I was going to say,
And
when
midwife-
I had Georgie 13 years, because my pediatrician is UK based, she would just come and I was like, what are you doing? She was like, no, this is how we do it.
No, I didn't have that with my first or my second, but what I can do in the show notes, I have some great resources that I found from the moms I've discovered myself, but one of them is ESC. It does provide €6 per session, so 36 prenatal. 36
and they do home visits.
Home visits, and they talk through breastfeeding with you. It's from midwives, so they talk through breastfeeding, mental health, emotions, stuff.
Okay.
So it's an improvement.
Yeah, massive.
But my thing is more about connect. The thing with these things are group sessions. I want to connect the moms. I want friendships to begin. I want them to support themselves. I want them to validate each other. And I want the specialists to give them the tools to go forward with it. Like the great things with the PDFs after each of the sessions with the specialist, I go back and I refer to those PDFs and I have a 7 and 4 year old.
I know.
So it's
well,
wow.
I've got 3 kids, Gotti, and your notes yesterday, I was like, wow.
Those were just my notes.
And they were just your notes. So I was like, wow.
That was my evaluation of it. But I used to do it as soon as the session finished, because I was like...
Because otherwise,
No, I would write during the session, and it's also a database I'm going to start creating. And it's something people can go back to, and also through the social platform I want to create is just really short, easy advice. And by the way, there's one thing I want to say. I'm not coming from somewhere like we can all do the podcast and we can all give advice and all these things. But if we don't start rallying around and creating villages and communities, when we're not doing anything, I feel. Like, I'm big on that. Like, we have to push, we have to get the people together and keep them together. Like, we can do all the talking.
Well, truth be told is that, I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been in the media for, almost 20 now. These initiatives always pop up.
Yeah.
And then they...
disappear. I get it. I do.
They disappear.
Yeah.
But as you said earlier, you've been doing this or trying to do this for the last 2 years. Just looking at the PDF file that you sent me the other day, I was like, this woman means business. Like,
was it quite businessy?
It did look very businessy. It's like, that definitely is not something I will ever do. I mean, people I'm going to come on the podcast. Do you have like a set of questions to send me? I'm like, no. Who do you think I am? A professional or something? No. But I see these initiatives come, Daniella, and I see them pitter-patter out.
Yeah,
and they sort of like disappear. This, I feel, is...
Oh, no, I'm on a mission.
Not only are you on a mission, you've got all these puzzle pieces that actually can connect.
I'm great at puzzles, by the way.
Okay.
Really good.
So they can connect. Yeah. And the main thing that I've noticed with your work is that it can happen effortlessly.
That's a big one.
Not so much...
There's no stress.
Yeah.
I felt the groups came to... I kept saying...
You're not trying to do a lot. You're trying to do...
That's
basic.
another thing. It's coming together very organic, and I'm not pushing it. Like, it's July, and I had one friend saying, you've got to go for those clinics. And I said, you know what? No. It will come.
Yeah.
They will come. Like, I've got my first meeting. I've sent a couple of other ones, but it all came together very organically. Even the mums, the way they came. Yeah. It was like just some word of mouth, someone connecting with someone. There was no stress. First time in my life when I've set up something, when you set up, I've got a bag. I've been doing handbags for so long.
Yes.
Every time I put something out, I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, is it the right pose? Is it the right feel? There's so much behind it.
Yeah.
There's no stress with this. And it's something, I don't know, it's like a eureka thing. It's like something, I don't know. And maybe I'm not thinking of the money, which my husband and other people say it's very wrong.
Oh, everything that you're saying now reminds me of the podcast when I wanted to do the podcast. Where are you going to make money? But I really want to do it.
Yeah, but that's my point. And you know how many people I said I'm coming on? They're like, oh my God, wow. That's a step up. And I'm like, she probably doesn't even know that. Like, to go to her. But that's my point. For you, it was quite effortless. And, you created podcasts not when everyone was doing podcasts.
No, I know. But again,
and this is really professional.
Like you, I know. Look at me. But I was going to say no, because again, the same as you, I had one mission in mind, and that was to get a platform with women and mothers' voices out there. That was it. It wasn't.
It's very simple.
It was very simple for me.
It is. And everyone's like, "Why don't you touch on the topics you're going through now?" It's like, because I haven't been through them.
Yeah.
I've been through that part of motherhood.
Yeah.
I've had the topic which shook me like no one's business. I had postnatal depression, which wasn't diagnosed, and I suffered for a year crying every day.
Yeah.
And no one helped my husband during that time. Just go there. He'd just come sit next to me, and he would just kind of say, it will pass. Because he wasn't educated to say anything else.
But put yourself in his position when you've got someone opposite you who you can tell is struggling. It's like most of the times you don't know what to say.
I was pissed. He would walk in and say, "Oh, my best girl, I rub him with a kid." I was like, she's been a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And this poor kid done nothing, but I wasn't okay.
I know. And you know what? And I'll let you have the final word, but I just wanted to say that when we talk about connecting mothers, when we talk about empowering mothers, when we talk about normalizing some stuff and getting rid of that shame and all that and the guilt and all these cliche things that some people would say that we're discussing right now, at the end of the day, what we are doing is raising the future generation.
Yeah.
So if that future generation is not built on all these things that we are talking about, we have no hope.
You really want to have the last line? It was amazing. Just that. How are we raising our kids?
We need to look into the future and see, and I've said it so many times, and you say it as well, but for me, with my boys, it's like I'm looking to the future. I'm looking at how these boys are going to operate in this world and in this society and how they can do good.
But how can you do that if you don't have functional parents?
Exactly.
So that's why if you don't start the proper support and care for a mum from the beginning.
Yep.
The only reason I'm saying mums is because it's, right now it is mum to mum support.
Yeah.
But I do want to get dads on that.
Yeah.
I do. It's not, and I do want to get grandparents at the end of the day. You've got, and another thing which, oh God, quickly want to spiral out. I had 2 mums come to this group who had lost children before gestation. I think that's the correct way of saying it. I couldn't put them on this group. It wasn't for them. It wasn't the right thing. But I connected them.
Okay.
It can spider graph out. It could spider graph out to IVF. It can spider out to child loss. Things we don't want to hear, or we close.
Abortion.
Yeah, but it can spider out. You connect mums on specific subjects.
Yeah.
These groups can spider out to those really hard conversations. And you can only talk about this with people who've gone through it. You can't talk about it with other people.
You're right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't. When you've lost a child, you can only talk about it with those mums.
Yeah.
And my point is, going back to these mum groups, they have to exist in order to have, well-rounded kids.
Yeah.
Or at least give them a chance. Because, I'm giving them, enough mental
stimulation
issues to go to psychologists,
we fucked our kids up already. We know that, but it's not a
bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, and it's not to the degree,
but it's that
where you're wondering, oh my God, am I raising?
No, I just want to have honest conversations. I'm trying to do the same thing. Have honest, real conversations with them, so they can come and they can, call me out. Yesterday, I was shouting at the cats, and my eldest, called me out. She goes, "Why are you shouting at them?
Yeah.
Isn't it better to?"
I've been called out for shouting,
but I have to go and but that's what you want. You want to, you want to,
and it's like. You're so right, and I
said that, and
I have nothing to say.
My husband says I'm really bad at saying I'm wrong, and I've started.
But also the sorry part as well. I had this discussion with Georgie yesterday. I was like, "Don't we say sorry to you when we fucked up?" And he looked at me and goes, "I suppose so." I was like, "You have no idea, our parents come and say sorry to us.
We never had the sex conversation with our parents.
Never had that, yeah.
We never had, everything was kind of put under the carpet, but maybe it was a generational thing.
Yeah. There was always this focus on do your schoolwork, be good at school.
Yeah, it's shifted a lot now.
We're not like that. We've changed.
I don't know if we've changed for the good, but we're trying to adjust to this new norm.
I think we're more aware of the psychology and mental health of our kids.
Yeah, it can be a lot because on the internet is a hell of a lot, and it can get blurry and there's too much. Some mums call some like specialists now, like on the don't talk about the theories. They said to me, I said, what do you want from the specialist? They're like, we're sick of hearing about the theory. Yeah, give us the tips. Yeah. Give us the practical advice. Yeah, but we also have to stop expecting from the specialist to give you There's no quick fix. Yeah. And when you go to see a counsellor, when you go and see a therapist, there's a reason there's sessions because, you have to do the work. Yeah. People have to get this. Yeah. And that's something I'm looking to the humanistic, way of doing psychology is this, giving the tools to the person to do the work. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's good. Everything's good. Yeah, good. Do you have anything to add to all of what we just... Actually, scrap that. I love it. How can people get in touch with you if after listening to this podcast, they're like, I really want to talk to Daniella? I'm going to set up the social media within a week. I'm going to actually start some groups. Do we have a name for the social media? Mum-to-mum support groups. Mum-to-mum support group. Simple. Okay, so when you do it, because this won't be coming out in the next week, so you've got time. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Send me the link. And I will have all my contacts. I want people to get in touch. And I will start also from people from areas that the clinics, if the clinics don't go ahead in areas like Larnaca, Bafo, I will be doing online support groups. I think you should keep doing those. I will keep doing that for sure. Yeah. There will, like the pilot group was free. There will be a cost because, there's an organisation, there's a facilitation and there's specialists coming on. Okay. So do you have another group starting soon? September is the next one. September will be the next one because I'm aiming to also collaborate with one clinic to also begin that because I want an on-site as well. Okay. But it will be prenatal 6 sessions, weekly sessions, and it will be postpartum 6 weekly sessions. Okay, brilliant. All right. So anyone who wants to contact Daniella, check the show notes. All the information will be there, or contact me and I'll put you in touch connecting with her. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. I really loved this. I knew I was going to love it, actually. When you first told me, what was it, a month and a half ago? Yeah. Why didn't you come on and promote them? I was like, hell no. Yeah, I think, no, you were sending me messages and I was just like, all of a sudden, why don't you just come on the podcast? And it was like the shock to you. You were like, what? No, what? No, I can't do that. And I'm like, no, dude, you're going to do that. And see, we did it. We did. It was lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. Bye.